Thank you for tuning in to Mastering the Math of Business with Lauren Young. Today we're going to be discussing a formula that is not used enough. In fact, I've never seen a small business owner use it, nor do I recall it being used during my corporate days. In fact, I didn't even learn it during graduate school. The formula has to do with valuing an investment. In other words, valuing an investment through the lens of how much do I have to sell to recoup this investment. It's a really simple formula to calculate. In fact, the way I like to think about this formula is that every investment has one or two outcomes. It will either help the business make more money or it won't. Now, within those are varying degrees, but the point is there's only two outcomes with every investment. And to appreciate how exposed a business is, particularly a business that has limited cash to invest in new capabilities, this should be a foundational formula that's used all of the time. Because here, just look at this scenario. You have 5 different investments. They all have the same outcome options. Doesn't matter the size of the investment, they all have the same outcome. And so use this formula. In fact, here's a scenario to appreciate the power of this formula. It's a really simple calculation. All you're doing is you're taking the investment cost and you're dividing it by the targeted percent of net income. So in this case, a business is looking to invest $100,000 in new equipment that will allow it to expand and increase sales. They're expecting a 10% return on sales. So you divide the $100,000 by the 10%, and that gets you $1 million. So once you sell $1 million at 10% net income, you will recover the cost of that investment, and then everything on top of that will be pure profit relative to that piece of equipment outside of maintenance and all of that stuff. The point is, if you're wrestling with the decision, like in this case, you're wrestling with, should I spend $100,000, yes or no? And this should be a really difficult wrestle if you're going to finance that $100,000. One of the challenges that I see in a lot of small businesses that I've gone into, particularly businesses that are capital intensive, in other words, they've got a lot of equipment that they need to be able to generate their sales. It's easy to sign up for leases, equipment leases. It's too easy. And the next thing you know, it's not generating the type of sales it should, and they've got all this cash outflowing to cover the lease payments, and they're wondering why they don't have any money. So in this scenario, $100,000 investment and a 10% planned return on that investment. In other words, that's the goal. The conditions, additional factors you need to do, there are none. That's how easy this formula is. Now the question is, how much do you need to sell? Well, in this case, you need to sell $1 million. It's this simple. All it is that divided by that. Now let's look at another scenario. Same number inputs, but this time you're able to earn a higher profit because this piece of equipment allows you to be more efficient. So you have lower direct costs. And that's your sales scenario. See, the key is these two levers, these two numbers, and so what this business needs to do is they need to sell at least $1 million. But if they can improve the net income, then they start making real money on this investment once they pass the 670 threshold. So that's the power of this calculation. What I like about this calculation is it positions you in more of a black and white world. It takes some of the shades of gray that make business more difficult. It takes them away because now you're looking at, what do I have to sell for this investment to pay off for me? And if you don't have high confidence, and in this scenario, you don't have confidence that $100,000 investment in new equipment is going to generate you $1 million in sales in a time frame that you would find acceptable, then that's an investment you want to pass on. That's what makes it black and white. The opportunity is, if you want to learn more calculations like this, go to business-cpr.com/P4. P4 will access you to an article that summarizes all of the major financial ratios that the wizards of Wall Street use to gauge the value of a business, and they're made relevant for business owners who don't have business degrees but have a passion for making money, and they want to reduce their stress levels. Go to that URL and you can read about all the major financial ratios and why you would want to use one versus another. Thanks again for tuning in to this edition of Mastering the Math of Business with Lauren Young. As with all videos, I welcome comments, suggestions. If you have a topic of interest, give it to me, and I'll show you the math behind understanding whether that topic is relevant for your business or not. As always, likes are greatly appreciated, as well as subscriptions. YouTube loves video sites with lots of subscribers, so please become one of them. Thanks again for joining us. Talk to you soon.